No, great. Thank you, Emma. And again, I'm Travis Smith. I'm the founder and CEO of Tribevest. And I'm here with Josh Wilson, who's co-founder and COO and heads up our customer success and onboarding. Tribevest is a company that specializes in investment groups. And we help you create a multi-owner vehicle, so that you can transact as an entity and pull capital and then go, transact and do a deal that maybe you wouldn't or couldn't on your own. And I can actually, we'll show you a little bit of a demo here. The company started when my brothers and I, 12 years ago, we wanted to invest in real estate. To break into real estate at the time, we had good incomes, but we didn't have a lot of capital yet. We hadn't kind of figured out how to invest in the private markets. So on a fishing trip that we couldn't afford, we came together and said, listen, let's stop talking about deals that we can't do on our own. And let's form an investor group, an investor tribe, pool our capital, and start participating in deals again that we wouldn't or couldn't on our own. We realized that by forming that investor group, that we achieved way more than we ever could have as solo investors, and that's when people started asking us, could we help them form an investor group? And we had to realize it's any one thing on its own, not super complicated and can be figured out. But when you start to add it all up, it really can be the reason why people don't get started in investor groups. And what Tribevest has done is we've made it inexpensive, fast, and easy and simple so that everybody can participate, and have access to a multiplayer investment vehicle or a multi-owner vehicle, like the ones that we build for our clients. Let me give you just a quick little look here at kind of what that looks like from a high level. All right. I think I had it up. Oh, here we go. So, just kind of real high level, here's what it looks like. Down the middle, you see on the Tribevest platform a multi-owner vehicle, and that's really what we're building. And then on the left-hand side are all the different members. And we just make it, one, really easy to launch that multi-owner vehicle, which happens to be an LLC, and open up a business bank account. And again, we'll show you the dashboard here in a second, but really managing everything you need for your multi-owner, multi-membered vehicle. And then the capital comes in. We manage the cap table and ownership management and keep that ledger for you. And then the entity makes a decision on where to deploy the capital. And in most cases, and I think that this is the case here, you guys already know where the capital is going to be deployed, even ahead of forming the multi-owner vehicle. So that's really great application. And then you can see in this case, the tribe can invest wherever they want, right? And we have tribes investing in, everything you could imagine. But the point is it's really up to them. And in this case, a real estate syndicate's a great fit for us in terms of being a limited partner, passive investor into a real estate syndicate. Now, there's a lot of confusion out there we get a lot of people hitting our platform thinking, we're kind of the poor man's version of a real estate syndicate, or, people are coming to actually form a sophisticated, investment security, or, whatever it might be. And the truth is, that we don't do that. We're really providing the platform and a very simple entity structure for multiple members to come together, pull their capital, track their ownership, and then make decisions in terms of where to deploy that capital. So any questions so far?
I'm just relieved that you have a real estate syndicate on there, because that's exactly what we're trying to do. But with the SEC rules around limited partners, we're feeling a little gun shy about how the best way to go about doing it.
Right. In terms of, does this structure resonate in terms of how you would invest as a limited partner into an existing real estate syndicate?
I think so, because like I said, we'll be putting some money in on our own as general partners, and basically negotiating a little piece of the general partnership, and then have the ability to raise additional capital as limited partners into their existing syndicate.
Awesome. Okay, well, great. Let me give you a little bit of a demo here. You guys can still see my screen.
Company culture is. Welcome to your tribe dashboard, where you have complete transparency into your tribe's members, activity, discussions, and more.
So let me set this up. So somebody on your team, Emma, might be you, goes in and we can talk about a couple different options, but let's just go with the one that's top of mind for me. Emma, you would come in and purchase a multiplayer investor vehicle or multi-owner vehicle, and it's $500. So that $500 includes everything you need, and it's an annual cost until you guys close the entity down. But what's included is it's $500. And, that includes the LLC filing. It includes the state Secretary of State fees. It includes your EIN operating agreement. It includes a registered agent. And then, the ongoing kind of annual costs, as long as you guys are a tribe, include keeping everybody compliant or keeping you compliant. So that registered agent in the state in which you filed, and then also will file the report, the required report or tax for that state on an annual basis, and we'll just do that for you. And again, that's included in that cost. Emma, you would come in and purchase that. You would start to fill out the plan for your group. You would name it. You would give the group goals. Specify what type of investments that you're going to be agreeing to invest in. How many members? A mission statement. All these things that. Once you add your members, they come in and they see, what they're joining, and it's very clear on what the plan is and how this is all going to work. And then once everybody joins, they land on this dashboard. And I'll go ahead and do the demo now.
Front and center is your mission statement, subscription level, and members. Access the members list to see each member's email and whether they're active or have a pending invite. The tribe's tax ID provides a link to view the detailed LLC information, and you can even customize and upload a cover image so that the dashboard fits your tribe's unique personality. Team and collaboration is at our core. The dashboard provides views into total tribe contributions, personal contributions, active motions, as well as tribe discussion, where you can provide and receive updates. From the menu options, you can see how we've organized your tribe's business. From left to right, we'll start with the banking tab. At the top, you see your Tribevest business bank accounts. All of our tribes have an integrated FDIC-insured business bank account that serves as the foundation for streamlined features like ACH capital contributions. Certain banking controls are reserved for tribe admins, but all members can see the account balances, account activity, transactions, and past statements. It's a full-service bank account, so you can make payments via ACH, debit card, or wire transfers. You're also not limited to only seeing your Tribevest business bank accounts. You can link external accounts here too, from other banks, a loan account, or even your tribe's brokerage account, giving you the ability to centralize access to all financial activity across your tribe's accounts. Now let's take a look at funding, where you can track all capital flowing into your tribe. Contributions are organized by funding rounds, which provide structure like minimum and maximum contribution amounts. After opening your first funding round, it's easy for your tribe members to schedule one-time or recurring capital contributions to the round. You can then see a complete record of all past and current contributions for all tribe members. Next is voting. Whether only voting on major decisions or all decisions, we make it easy to propose, vote, and keep a record of all motion results, ensuring a transparent history of tribe decisions. Last but not least, we've provided an easy way for your tribe to share important documents in the Document Center. Tribevest will automatically upload your articles and EIN, and you can share your executed operating agreement, along with any and all documents that need to be accessed by the tribe. Well, that's the 2-minute tour of the dashboard. Thanks, and let us know if you have any other questions.
So anyway, I think that provides a nice little overview for everybody, and Josh and I are here to answer questions, and again, continue to help qualify if in fact, we can help. As you can probably tell by our pricing structure, this isn't a high service, high cost business. So, we're really in the business of helping out thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of investor groups. So there's not a lot of customizing that we do. That being said, you can see it is a platform which gives you quite a bit of flexibility in terms of how you manage it and how you want to use the system.
I have some questions. I'm sure some more will come up as we're going along. Specifically, again, kind of back to SEC compliance with what the research that we've been doing, and my securities attorney kind of pointed me toward, was the investing club rules of the SEC, where as long as you have less than 100 people and they're all making joint decisions on where the money goes, then it's not considered technically a joint venture, and you don't have to have everybody with this high degree of a bona fide job and things like that. Can you speak to us more about not only compliance within the club, but also raising limited partner money into a syndicate? Is that something that, can you only speak to compliance inside the club?
Well, first of all, we're not attorneys, so, first,
Yeah.
Full disclosure there, but, I think, there is something there with that, the investment club and the advantages that come there. I think the real beauty of our solution is we just have kept it really, really simple. So when you think about what's going on here, really you're opening up a multi-membered LLC partnership. And so everybody that comes in, they're not making an investment into the entity, into the LLC. They're actually making their capital contributions to there, and those represent their ownership stake into the group LLC, or as we call it, the multi-owner vehicle. And so all the capital that's coming in that everybody's agreed to is coming in. We're tracking it, and in the cap table, it'll show everybody how much they've contributed and how much ownership they have in that multi-owner vehicle, or LLC, multi-membered partnership LLC, and they are all owners. So they're actually, active, meaning, again, they're owners. So just by being active and an owner, really makes this simple and clean. And that, no one's a limited partner. No one's passive in terms of, the definition in terms of what the SEC is looking for here. And then as the group, again, the decision could have already been made, could be in the operating agreement, of, hey, we're all forming this business so that we can deploy capital in this entity. The entity is now the investor into, whatever deal you're going into. And then there's just a single entity versus all 10 people participating in this. And that does a number of things, right? It makes it easy on the deal people. So they might have a minimum, we have a lot of $1 million minimums, or $500,000 minimums, $250 minimums, $100,000 minimums. And, it doesn't matter who you are, those are big dollar amounts. And so what a lot of people like to do is form tribes so that they don't have to just pick one or two deals, but they can participate in, a bunch of deals and really diversify their portfolio as a group.
I do have a question, Travis, and this is kind of piggybacking off of Emma's question. So according to the SEC guidelines for the groups with more than 100 people, do you know if we would still maintain compliance if we created a tribe of 120 people? Are they still considered all active, or at that point are we starting to encroach upon that boundary?
Yeah, and Josh, I'll have you chime in here. I think, depending on the state, right, Josh? I mean, that's why this becomes a really tricky business, Christopher. I think that was Christopher. And why we keep bringing it back to the lowest common denominator, where it's very safe and simple. And, and that's that, under 35 members. And again, it really depends on the state. But most of our tribes and our best fit are those ones that are 15 or 15 to 5 members, because once you start to get into the 20s, 30s, and in the hundreds, I'm almost sure we're not a good fit if in fact you guys are looking to do 100 members into one tribe. Josh, do you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with what Travis had to say there. It just gets, when you're talking about participation and making sure you have active members, when you start to get into those numbers, it's really hard to justify that all members are active and involved in that decision-making process. And you somewhat do begin to tear down the walls that are kind of that multi-member LLC helps protect, and making sure you have participation. And then, I do definitely agree with Travis talking about keeping groups probably under 20 members. That way, it's very easy to demonstrate activity. It's very easy to demonstrate involvement in the process. And they are all active owners of that business.
Yeah. And I think, what we'd also see is, and we talk and work with a lot of groups like this, where they're, not where there's 100 people that want to participate, but they're forming groups of, 15, and they're doing multiples of, multiple groups as a result of that. And again, with the purpose of being usually a passive investor into a syndicate, technically that entity could be a general partner into a syndicate too. Yeah, that's normally how we look at this. And then again, if you're looking at hundreds of people, you might want to look at, a crowdsourcing option, forming a syndicate. Again, just more sophisticated, higher service, and more expensive, right? even like the technology platforms out there, I think you're looking at, $8,000 to $15,000 to set up those types of entities. And there's a reason for it, because once you cross over certain thresholds, it's, there's a lot of service and, things that need to be checked and processed.
So I think each deal that we go into would be a separate tribe. And so while we have over 100 members, I think we're closing out 200 members of the club. I think each deal is probably only going to have between 10 and maybe 20 at the upper limit, 15 people, a dozen in each actual deal, because I do think that some of them will require the owners to put in their own cash, and some of them won't. Each one's going to be like its own little business and have different rules. And so I think that would be a good fit for what we're looking to do. If we wanted to put in more than that, I'm sure, we can consult with our attorney in the state we're in and kind of see where those thresholds are. Most of the attorneys I've talked to know what an investment club is. Some of them don't. Even the securities attorneys don't. And even the ones who know what it is haven't dealt with them a whole lot. They're like, oh, well, that's an interesting concept. I should look into it more. So obviously you've spent a lot more time in that space than even a lot of these attorneys have. So I think we would just need to get some clearance if we're going to go bigger than that. The thing I was wondering about is ownership splits. Like, let's say somebody's doing all the admin work and they're taking care of making sure payments are going out, and they're doing some of the accounting, and there's just some housekeeping stuff to do. And other people who are in there, they don't know how to do that. They're not into that. Is it just based on how much money people put in, or can you say the ownership percentages are based on how much effort they put in as well?
Yeah, great question. And I'm gonna kick it over to Josh. But we can help you manage that. And so anyway, I'll let him address that question.
Yep. I mean, so there are two different types of the multi-member LLCs. You have a member managed and manager managed. So the kind of that structure you're talking about, where there are people stepping up to do more of the day-to-day operational type stuff, or doing more to help qualify and bring deals in, that may fit more of a manager managed model. And then in that operating agreement for that type of LLC, it does designate the role of the manager, and then also if any compensation is due that manager. And tribes, I've seen tribes do, you get a couple extra percentage points. You may get a bonus based on performance of your investment, or just straight up, that as the manager, you get an extra $200 a month to manage a straight payout. You could even be set up as an independent contractor getting paid, a 1099 employee almost, or a contractor getting paid by that LLC to manage the business. So that really is kind of up to you guys, but it can be accommodated within the multi-member LLC structure.
You could have, in our case, we could have multiple managers. There could be 3 or 4 people that are doing most of the work, and the rest are doing a lot less work. So how would you, and even within those 4 people, it could vary. So
would you guys mind telling me just a little bit about that work and what those managers would be doing in this particular application?
Well, okay, go ahead, Emma.
Oh no, Josh listed off most of them: bringing in, vetting deals, underwriting deals, and then day-to-day housekeeping, like making sure that the ACH transfers went out when we're getting distributions, making sure that that's just little things that need to get done, so everybody's getting paid and everybody knows what's going on. There might be somebody in charge of communications, especially if we brought in limited partners. We might want to do some additional communication with them on top of what the sponsors are doing, just things like that. I don't know what they all are at this point. I'm sure once we get into a deal, we're going to see some things that we forgot. But Kathy, did you have anything to add to that as far as things that you
No, it's just the basic roles of any syndication.
Right. Yeah, and I think again, I just want to make sure that even going back to this
I think
graphic here. Oh, am I on mute?
No. I think kind of thing. I know where you're going there, Travis. Emma, you mentioned a couple times about bringing in limited partners. In that LLC structure, while there can be different levels of equity, members coming in at different levels of contribution, there are no general partners and limited partners. You're all partners. You're all owners of this LLC. You do get into trouble, and you potentially are getting yourself into some gray area, or maybe not even some gray area when it comes to the SEC, when you start talking about general partners and limited partners in that structure, because generally limited partners are considered passive investors. Passive investors in a structure like that fall under SEC guidelines. So we want to be, that's why we are very careful about when to use that terminology, and mostly when not to use that terminology. So we want to make sure it's understood that all members are coming in as owners. You can come in at different levels of equity, so you don't all have to have the same percentage of ownership, but all members are owners and all partners. No general partners or limited partners. All members are partners and owners of that LLC.
Yeah, we're not disputing that. That's exactly what we would be. What we're saying also is on top of that, we see is not just monetary contribution or ownership in that partnership, but also sweat equity ownership as well. And how can we?
No, so that's fine. That? So you can you can build in sweat equity that is above and beyond. So you're the managers above their financial contributions also get an extra 3 points of equity for managing that business, and that is the piece that would.
You could have multiple of those people. Okay.
So a manager managed LLC, kind of one of the first things that group is going to do is elect those managers. And that can be one or more people who are elected managers. And then you guys will decide as a group what the duties of those managers are. And if any compensation is due those managers, you guys will come to an agreement how that is going to be structured.
Right. And I think what, had me asking more questions about what were those duties. A lot of the burden that falls on managing a group, Tribevest tries really hard to help with that, right? So in a multi-owner vehicle and multi-membered LLC partnership like the ones we're talking about, without Tribevest, the initiator or manager or whatever we want to call them, in the past that's been a very big heavy lift in terms of starting the LLC, getting everything in place, and then and getting a bank account in place. Of course, we do that all for you within hours of getting started. And then the ongoing stuff is also a big burden, and sharing the financial documents and keeping the cap table up to date. Well, again, Tribevest does all that for the group, and so what we see more often than not are groups that are doing a simple transaction together. So there's not a lot of management. It's, pulling the capital and then having the admin, wire the funds, and then, but that's a real basic, simple one. And of course there's variances of that, and some of the managers that, what you guys are looking at could have all sorts of additional responsibilities. Again, and in that case, it probably does make sense to have a manager manage and to be clear on, what work they're doing and how they're being compensated.
So one other comment I'll make is that one other duty that the members would have is to raise capital into the syndicate fund. And that's what we mean by limited partners, because each deal we're going to invest in already has their single offering fund, their 506(b)(c) set up to accept limited partners. So we would just be raising capital as a group, but we would have them direct invest into the syndications fund. But that would be one of the duties that each member would have, is to go out and raise a little bit more capital from limited partners. And some people will do it and some people won't want to do it. But just be able to say those who raise more capital can have a different equity stack in there. And so that's what I'm asking, is one thing that's been tripping us up is to be able to say, oh, well, let's say Kathy's going to do this and this, and she's going to put in this much money, and Emma's going to do this and this and put in this much money. But then we might not split everything just based on how much money you put in. We might want to change those equities. So can Tribevest support assigning people their equity portion? Or is it just based on how much dollars each person puts in?
No, absolutely. You have a business ledger in which you can adjust. And of course, there's full transparency and, everything's like out in the open. But yeah, you would have those controls to do that. Everything you're talking about here, Tribevest can accommodate.
Perfect. Looks like we've got a question from David.
Yeah, hi. I'm Nundi's husband. I just had a few here. So the first one was in reference to checks and balances to protect, or like protections with administrators distributing funds from bank accounts. What are provided in those instances?
Yeah, great question. And Josh, I'll let you chime in here too. But like the greatest, form of security and accountability is just the transparency that we provide. So, everybody in the group can come in and see, everything that's going on in the tribe. So I'll just say that's kind of the first and most significant thing that we've seen. And you think about that, like when everybody can see everything going on, it just keeps it really secure, and everybody's accountable. But anyway, Josh, are there any other more specifics that in terms of that question?
Yeah, so I think what Travis talked about, that overall transparency, that all members have visibility, is one of the biggest factors. But there is direct controls within the platform that only certain members can perform certain actions. So, for example, to perform banking transactions, you do need to be an admin of the tribe, and you can control how many admins there are. We typically say you want to have, from a banking point of view, you probably should have at least 2 people who can perform banking transactions, but you really no more than 4, just to make sure you can keep a tight control there. And if something does happen, it's very easy to figure out where those transactions went and who performed those, who made the transactions happen, so that you do have control. All members can see the bank account. All members can see the transactional history, the current balance, and have access to download the statements to see all that activity. But you can designate and have just 1 or 2 members who actually can perform banking transactions to keep those controls in place. So not just all members have the ability to perform transactions. Those admins also can control members coming in, new members coming in and members going out, setting up funding rounds. So there are some controls there that just will hopefully drastically reduce a rogue actor from doing something bad.
And is there a voting mechanism to, for example, let's say funds were going to be sent out and then everyone can vote if they agreed with that decision, and that would be a gate? Is that like a feature?
Absolutely.
Or something?
Well, so yes, there absolutely is a motion tool on the platform that you can propose motions and take votes. Now it may not act as a gate, so that's still going to require, I'm not sure what you necessarily mean there as a gate, but if it's voted down, will that stop somebody from actually sending money out? No, but that is part of your operating agreement too. Who has control there? What is going on? And action can't be taken unless the agreed upon consent, the voting percentage has reached the what is stated in your operating agreement.
Okay, cool. The second question was around the flexibility under the underlying accounts that are created, like bank accounts and things like that, and determining fees associated with maintenance of accounts, minimum balances, wire transfer fees, stuff like that.
Yep. So today, almost all your banking fees are included in that the $500 per year setup and ongoing maintenance fee. There will be some individual fees that may be associated when it comes to additional debit cards, outbound wires will have a fee, but there's no monthly maintenance fee for your bank account. There's no minimum balance required. So most all of your fees are going to be included in your yearly subscription cost.
Okay, but we wouldn't determine if it's like Bank of America, Chase, or your.
Oh no. So yep. So it is a Tribevest bank account that we set up for you, and to be able to participate in and take advantage of the tools we have in the platform, to be able to set up funding rounds and schedule your contributions, to take advantage of the banking tools, also to make easy distributions back to the partners. That does require that you use the Tribevest bank account.
Cool. I had one more question, but I was going to give space if anyone else wanted to jump in for a sec.
Go for it.
Right. Yeah. So the last one, just I saw you all are an early stage startup, so worked in that environment, know how it is, saw some funding and all that fun stuff. As your company grows, how could that affect either grows or shrinks in any way? How could that affect Tribe's investments and things like that on your platform, whether through outages or if the business plan doesn't work out or different things like that?
Yeah, I can take that one. I mean, yeah, we're an early stage. We are venture backed and are experiencing incredible growth right now. And so we're just incredibly fortunate in that we're doing quite well and have the support of some really powerful venture capital partners out there. But to answer your question, I think, it's important to know it's your bank account, like it's your LLC, right? Like it's your bank account, so we're doing a lot of the facilitating, but at the end of the day, if Tribevest ever went away, you would still have your bank account and your money would be in an FDIC insured business bank account that your company LLC owned, in which all of you were owners of. So anyway, I think it's a really good and fair question. Good news is things are going really well and trending really well for us. But I think just more importantly is if we did go away, you guys would still be a company. You would still have your bank account with an FDIC insured bank, which we use Blue Ridge Bank, which is a national FDIC insured bank out of Virginia.
Okay, cool. Thanks. I appreciate that.
I love that question. That's one I didn't even think of. Even though we work in the tech startup space and invest in it, I wasn't even thinking along those lines. So that's why I love bringing people together, because you just get different perspectives and things that one's thinking of that the other's not. I did have a question about operating agreements. Where do we get that, and how does Tribevest support that?
Go ahead, Josh.
So the operating agreement is available right through the dashboard. So once you kick off your subscription and you get into the Tribevest dashboard and the Tribe settings area, there is a place for the operating agreement, which then does allow you to download that template. The template is a Word document, so that is your operating agreement. We give you a very good, solid template that's going to cover all your bases, but it is your operating agreement. So you guys are then free to make modifications. Many of our tribes, just basically we kind of show you where to fill in the blanks where you need the pieces of information that need to be added that are pertinent to your tribe. And many of our tribes just go ahead and move forward and use our operating agreement pretty much just as it's laid out. But we do have tribes that make some minor edits, and then there are other tribes that do bring their own operating agreements to the platform. But that operating agreement is yours. It's part of your subscription. We can definitely, help and answer questions, provide a little more clarification maybe on clauses, and then if you do have questions, we can let you know maybe how other tribes have handled similar circumstances. But ultimately, it's your operating agreement, and you guys are able to modify that to fit your circumstances.
Yeah, and I just would say, in this group, I think this could be a likely scenario where you use our proven, operating agreement, and then you go to your attorney with that, right? And there's a lot of cost savings in that instead of starting from scratch with an attorney. But you actually go with a document, and then they maybe help you with some of the nuances, but it's not a full-blown attorney engagement. It's more of a document review with them.
Is there a demo available that we can try ourselves, like just to try out the different features?
We don't have a demo that would be real helpful to you. We could share with you that demo we shared when we first kicked off here, and you can see all the features and everything there. But the other thing we could do, Josh, right, is we could do a live demo where we drill down into like how these things work.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if we take your operating agreement template and modify it as we discussed earlier, with having multiple managers and multiple and different percentages based on monetary contribution, but also the sweat equity we talked about. Is all those customizations going to be automated in the distributions, and in your other tools? Is all that is what we put in the operating agreement going to be reflected in whatever other tools and reports you produce?
Good question, Josh. I'll let you chime in, but the answer is yes. I mean, there might be some configuring that we might need to help on the back end, but we did just roll out our business ledger capability tool, so your admins can adjust those things, and then a lot of it would just be set up. If you were set up a little differently, and then our system would be able to track in an automated way going forward. So anyway, Josh, did you have anything to chime in there?
Yeah, I did. Definitely the operating agreement and ledger can reflect exactly how you guys want it set up from a equity distribution. And we definitely have tools to distribute funds back to the members when it is time for a distribution. Will it automatically calculate what each member is owed based on the total distribution? Not yet today, but you do have the ability to send distributions back to each member to the account that they have linked without having to do any extra work there. And it's all done by ACH transfer.
Okay.
Travis, Josh, sorry, this is Fernando. In addition to Kathy comment, I think what you mentioned is a good idea. If you could share some of the snapshot of the different or the different screenshots of the application that are relevant to have that workflow completed. And if we can have that demo that you mentioned live on a real scenario, I think it was going to be helpful for everyone as well.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm just wondering what your platform, and I hope this isn't a rude question, but what your platform is going to really provide for us in terms of making it easier for all the accounting work we're going to have to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's not a rude question at all. I mean, we're leading the way in terms of collaborative investing, and we're passionate about it, and we're making it as easy and simple and as inexpensive as it absolutely can be. But if you guys have the tools to do this on your own, you have our support and everything else. So I think if it's not obvious, the value proposition that we have for you, and a lot of times it just comes down to this dashboard transparency that we offer. I mean, think about what that brings to a group.
That's a big one. I would agree with that. That's a big.
And I think like a lot of things that we've really, figured out on the back end, we talk about them like, yeah, FDIC insured banking. And, you open up that account in a within hours of opening up a Tribevest account. The truth is, if you go out and, try to open up a multi-membered LLC business bank account with most banks out there, it's quite an ordeal.
It's a nightmare. Nightmare. I'll tell you this, just that one feature right there, because I'm always the one who's in charge of that and all the joint ventures we've done. There's only one bank that I will even use anymore. Because
Emmy locked up there.
Yeah, but no, it's true. And then Emma, when you think about like, and Kathy, when you think about, the convenience we bring each member, so they, we make it real easy for them to make capital contributions. So really just link your account or put your account and routing number in, and then of course we're tracking that for everybody. So, there's a lot that we do, and we kind of blow over it. But, really, if you were going to go out and do this on your own, and all those things are important, which I'm talking about, that it's quite a heavy lift on your own.
And from the, really, a lot of the features we have out there are designed to ease the burden on the managers. Just especially if you guys are talking about a group that maybe push, 15 to 20 people, that all 15 or 20 people at any point in time, any time of the day, can log into the platform and see the current balance, see the cap table, see if there's any open votes, have access to documents without you guys having to do anything. That the information's there, it's readily available at all times. When it comes to scheduling their contributions, they can make them when they can see what's happening in the bank account, and you're not getting messages, you're not sending out text, you're not updating spreadsheets and delivering that out to the whole group. The information's there for all members to consume without having to ping you about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that definitely is one of the biggest advantages.
So for our last couple of minutes here, we'll have about 5 minutes left before we wrap. I'd like to go over the features list and the pricing, because I think that could answer a lot of questions as well. When people are seeing, I'm just going to share this screen here. Is this screen relevant to what we're doing, first off?
So we are in the process of rolling out some new pricing, and it will be coming out on Wednesday. And that's that model I talked about before. That's that $500 kind of includes everything. And then there's not a per and then each member when they join the Tribevest platform, there's a $5 per month subscription, and that's to access any and all of the platforms. So your tribe or all your tribes and any other things that are out there. So the $5 per month is an individual charge, and the $500 is a multi-membered LLC expense.
So what's the $349 then?
Right. So
I'll take the $349 version.
Right. Well, we'll give you guys the best deal when you yeah, go ahead, Josh. You've been having.
Well, as you say, but the 349 version though also says that LLC now is paying. If you scroll back to the top there, for example, that 349 version says also each month each member is also going to be charged for $10 a piece. So you have 100 or 10 members in there. That's $349 to get set up, and $100 a month to keep it active, versus $500 to get set up and no ongoing fees for members. So really, actually, the $500 package is a better deal. Is a far better deal from a ongoing expense of managing that tribe.
Oh, I misunderstood Travis. I thought it was, you still had the $5 a month per member with the 500.
Is that, are you still having different tiers with the new pricing? Is that really what we're looking at there? Is like, it's 500 set up with no monthly fee, and then you've got a 500 set up with a monthly fee, or do you have tiers still?
You're muted, Travis.
You're on mute, Travis.
Oh, sorry.
I said we've managed to make this
transition
really confusing.
Yeah.
But here's what we'll say in the closing couple minutes. We'll do the math for you guys, and we'll make sure you guys get the most advantageous deal for your group.
To be clear though, Travis, I believe what you were saying with the $500, it's $500 per year, and then on top of the $500 per year with the new structure, each member will pay $5 a month to be part of Tribevest, to have that access, correct?
That's right. To be part of Tribevest. That's right.
And what this is different than your current pricing model is that $500 setup fee and the $5 a month thereafter, you got rid of those startup tier, business tier, and venture tier, correct? Those tiers no longer exist. Everybody gets all of those benefits that are listed below. Is that correct? So
that's correct. Yeah. And yes, thank you, Christopher. Including registered agent services, and again, we're automatically filing your state reports, and all those types of things. So yes, that's well said, Christopher.
So just to clarify, so let's say take this venture. So what you're doing is you're basically getting rid of startup and business tier, leaving a single tier that's a $500 setup fee and $5 a month per member.
I think that summarizes it. Yes, that's a true statement.
Okay. As I'm scrolling through this, does anybody have any questions on any of these member benefits or these features that you have any questions about? I think this editable ledger looks interesting, but I just want to make sure if anybody had any more technical questions versus pricing, that these features we get.
I would just love to see a real demo of how, how to set it up and what and the flow. What is the flow?
That kind of reminds me of a big question that I had that not necessarily flow, kind of related to that. How long does it take to get up and running once we do the setup and we've committed to a deal? We're going to go raise capital for the deal, put our capital in the deal. How long does it take before we're up and running and able to start taking commitments?
So you could be up in less than 48 hours and pulling capital and transacting out. Now that's everybody coming in, signing up, and everything else. But from a technical perspective and how integrated we are with the banks and the Secretary of State, that's very possible.
Okay. One thing that was, like I said, tripping us up was when we were trying to do our own operating agreement, getting one that had equity splits figured out. Are you still having this operating agreement legal review feature? Is that still going to be included in the new plan?
Good question. We won't, in that cost, we will not cover a legal document review. However, our documents were created by our attorneys, and so they are attorney generated. But in terms of getting that document reviewed, that would be something you would be making your own investment on.
Okay. All right. So could we use one of your attorneys, or should we have an outside attorney do it?
We could definitely have you use one of our partner attorneys, or feel free to use your own too. So we could help you with that.
And then the demo that you were showing earlier at the beginning of the presentation, is that the only demo that you have, the video demo, or do you have other videos that we could review as well?
That's the best one from a high level. And then I'm actually gonna put that in the chat here. Let's see. I thought I was. Oh yeah, here we go. So I put it in the chat so everybody can access it and watch it on their own time.
Perfect. All right, and that chat will be saved when I stop recording. I'll have a TXT in that one. So if anybody wants to put any information in there that you want to share, I can send that out to the group afterwards, post it in Slack. And then I just want to say thank you to both you, Josh and Travis, for coming tonight and walking us through it. Any other items you have that we might want to review on our own time, just go ahead and send those to me and I'll forward them to the group. Does anybody have any last questions?
Great, guys. Yeah, any questions, let us know. We're very excited about this group. I mean, anytime we see this many people coming together and, passionate about building wealth together, that's, right in line with our spirit. So we just, we'll help this group as much as possible, answer all your questions, and want to see you be successful. People often ask me, what's the key to a successful group? And, my suggestion is a start. I think, part of the problem is when you get together with a lot of people, as powerful as it is to pull capital, share your networks, all of the great things that come with the economies of scale. The drawback to that sometimes is that these groups don't get going because they're too busy talking about, fairly minor details. In a lot of ways, it's about, do we have the big important stuff figured out? Have we covered all of our bases? And let's go on an adventure together. And so that's my suggestion is, make sure you're being smart, and you're already doing that by working with companies like Tribevest. And clearly this is a very smart group. So you should all feel very comfortable and confident to make the big leap and, make an adventure here together.
Perfect. Well, I think the nice thing about the way that we're doing it is each property is its own little business. So we can set up a tribe, do a couple of tester runs and see if it's a good fit. I think it sounds like a good fit to me. We'll kind of work out the kinks, but we get many times at bat on this one because we'll be doing it over and over again.
Awesome. And guys, we'll give you, if you guys aren't 100%, happy with everything, we'd give you guys 100% money back guarantee. If in the first 2 weeks you guys don't think that this is what you guys are looking for, we would give you guys $500 back and figure that out.
That's like a really good live demo right there.
Right. I think honestly that's probably the best, because when you start to get into the demo, so like I'll definitely offer that up to this group for sure.
Okay, I'll snatch that off the end of the recording, just in case it gets out a little more publicly.
You gotta do it.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for coming and answering all our questions. We'll be in touch. We're gonna try. Our goal is to identify a deal that we want to go into by before Thanksgiving, and then be working on raising all the capital over the break. Something that'll close in January or so. And so, just to give you a sense of our timeline, and we'll reach out when we're ready to pull the trigger.
Awesome, guys. You know where to find us. Thanks so much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And Emma, feel free to share our emails with the group, and they can ask us questions directly.
Yes, I'll post all that in our Slack channel. I'm going to post the link to the club links here, just in case you don't have them. That's a spreadsheet that has all the relevant links to the Slack channel, to this weekly meeting, to our deal folder for all of our reviews. And I think, Travis, do you want to, I think it's like Travis at
I just
Tribevest.
I added Josh's in my email there. So
Perfect.
anybody
All right.
with questions, feel free to reach out that way too.
Okay, perfect. I'll send along this transcript to everybody as well. And thank you so much for coming.
All right, bye everyone. Have a good evening.
All right.
Have a good
Thanks, everybody.